Wow, I never thought of it that way.
You mentioned a future where we have cameras in our ears. How far along is that reality?
Oh, I don't think it's very far. I think for us, it's really about continuing this march down, investing in these core aspects of technology.
How does it feel to lead one of the most exciting departments in the company?
Wow, I never thought of it that way.
Wearables and personal AI. So
It is a very exciting time. So I've been managing this space for quite a few years for Qualcomm, and I think that when probably over the last couple of years is when it's dramatically shifted into something, with this whole explosion of agentic AI capabilities and the ability to have kind of the capabilities that we kind of take for granted now. Rewind the clock maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that wasn't so obvious, right? So I think right now what's happening is there's an explosion of capabilities that people want to realize, and they want to do it in a way that kind of crosses that last barrier, which is more personal information beyond just the public information that many of these agents have been trained on. So for us, this is probably one of the most exciting times. It feels good. It feels like we're always trying to stay ahead of the game, but really exciting time, right? Really, kind of this explosion of innovation, diversity of platforms, customers that non-traditional customers that are deciding they want to get involved in the space, and all around, I think, really transforming how people use technology and how we can shift from maybe a device-centric model, which is how we've thought about consumer technology for such a long time, into something that's more of an agent or an agentic AI center, right? So devices sort of blend into the background, and it's really about humans interacting with their assistants.
I understand the idea, and we know the overall theme, right? Better edge AI, better AI agents on device, AI agents in your ear, on your glasses. How would you describe the roadmap ahead for Qualcomm, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years? We know what's happening right now. What's ahead?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of innovation that we're investing in. When you think about IP roadmaps, those are things that we have to invest in 5, 6, 7 years, even before they hit the market in products, right? So we're already thinking about products, and then for products, we're talking about products that we have to start just developing or designing high-level architectures maybe 2 to 3 years in advance of when they would appear on the market. So when you look at the combination of the two, we're already thinking about what are the capabilities or technologies we're going to have to bring to market in the next, sometime in the 2030s, early 2030s. So that's happening right now. For us, we focus on a couple of our core foundations. I think maybe a little generic, but I'll say it, and then we can certainly dig into the details. It comes down to continued relentless push towards power efficiency and high performance computing with leadership connectivity, right? So it sounds generic, but leadership connectivity is about how do I ensure, regardless of where I am, that I have a connection to the cloud, because inevitably all the work we're doing will have to, you want to have that connection to services or agents that might reside in multiple locations all over the world. That's number one. The local compute and power efficiency is all about whether it's NPU, CPU, GPU, it doesn't matter. I put those all in one umbrella of compute, which is a relentless push to being able to do faster processing, more time constrained, lower latency, and do it in a way that I can still maintain multiple days, if not weeks, of battery life, while these devices are now going from an occasional use or periodic notification to something that is always sensing, always on, right? So, and then, of course, that drives innovations in which process technologies we're using. It drives innovation in architectures we have to develop to get to power consumption levels. From a product perspective, we really see that wearables in a couple different form factors stand out as having really good trajectories. I think certainly you've already seen the short-term success of smart glasses, and we think that that's a very big trend moving forward, especially as you move towards more augmented reality type of applications. We think that's going to be something that would continue to evolve and become a bigger and bigger piece of the consumer electronics space. The second piece is, okay, now how do we have these different companion devices? So whether it's, and in general in wearables, whether it's something you wear on your wrist, something you have in your pocket, there's going to be a lot of experimentation in how people want to take audio input in, take visual input in. And so we're going to see a lot of, I think, platforms that start combining or merging different technologies. Things that might have been audio only might now, for example, earbuds might start having cameras on their earbuds, right? As a way, not necessarily to take selfies or to take pictures, but to provide input into, to a model or to an agent to say, provide context to where you are, or to help you understand maybe who's this person I'm meeting. I know I've met them before, but I don't remember their name. Give me a little bit of their background, right? Things like that. So I think for us, it's really about continuing this march down, investing in these core aspects of technology, and then making sure that when we put together these different pieces, it's about, when we build these products, it's about what is the target set of experiences we want to nail versus just a general purpose solution that maybe works well and maybe it does not work exceptionally well in all cases, right? So I think this is that's where it gets a little fuzzy, because these use cases, these applications, these products are just, as we speak, kind of coming into their own, and we're trying to first solve the problem initially with offering maybe something that can support many different use cases, and then as we learn more, we'll be more targeted in our designs.
The last point you mentioned actually strikes a chord. You want wearables like the smartwatch I'm wearing from being passive actors to being proactive AI agents that can assist us in our life, like human beings. Understood. We know the theory. We know that W5, W5 Plus came back in 2022. Now we have the Wear Elite. But how would you make that happen? What's the roadmap for that?
How do we make what happen?
These passive actors into true smart devices that are proactive in our lives.
Okay, so maybe just picking on the watch example, right? With our launch of Wear Elite, we've dramatically increased all the compute capability, including having, for the first time ever, NPU capability on the watch that can handle like a 2 billion parameter models. Okay? So sounds great, but what does that really do for you? Well, what it allows you to do is say, okay, there may be some models you want to run that are that large, right? But for me, it's about, if you look at the watch today, it's maybe 40 or 50 sensors with another 40 or 50 algorithms that are running to sort of provide basic information that then you send up to the cloud to go off and you look at a dashboard to look at your analytics and kind of glean some understanding from that, right? Well, what if tomorrow you could actually have a lot of that analysis being done on your watch? So you're not only running these sensors and you're running these algorithms, but now you're able to actually draw insights out of them. What if you had a small model running on there that would allow you to warn you, for example, if your blood sugar is going low and you should eat something, or you're fatigued and you need to take a break, right? Or things like that. Or wait a minute, maybe there's some strange behavior they're seeing in your heartbeat that you need to take advantage, that you need to address immediately. So those are things where you shift from just collecting data, reporting it, and then having maybe a platform that you look at later to go and say, here's a set of things that I need to probably investigate. How do you make that more of a, hey, Deep, you need to take a look at this right now, right? So I think that's an area where it can be more proactive. The other areas it can be more proactive is because now you're developing a personal graph of your experiences, right, over multiple devices, you're able to now leverage capabilities and understanding from other devices that you have with you, whether it's your smartphone, your earbuds, or whatever, and then be able to say, there is, there's some additional, I have some level of context about where I am, what I'm doing, and something I should be thinking about. I know it sounds maybe a little generic, but I do see that by putting more of this capability on device, we have the ability now to enable decisions to be made, of course, with your permission, right? Decisions to be made on your behalf. For example, being able to say something like, I need to, I want to meet with Deep later, but I have an appointment. I'd like to find out when he's available. Let's see if we can find a restaurant because I'm not sure the kind of food he likes to eat. Please see what would be the best option for us to meet for dinner, right? So imagine having something like that, and then having agents, whether they're on your device, maybe looking at your calendar, whether they're in the cloud, being able to make a reservation. All those things are things where you turn from a reactive or a prescriptive kind of approach to something that's much more proactive. So I think what we're trying to, or at least being able to do very complex functions. So I think what our main focus is, if we can build these capabilities on the device, we have the ability then to kind of realize these use cases that OEMs might want to go and build.
Right. Your company, if not the only one, but is among the handful optimists about RISC-V technology. And how does that factor in the personal AI space and the wearable space?
I think for us, we use a number of different compute engines, compute architectures. So I think RISC-V is one that we've worked with quite extensively, right? We see that there's when we look at performance and power consumption, right, we see there's great value there. So for us, it's not necessarily we're not religious about architecture in terms of processor architecture. We're looking at what is the best architecture to use for a particular set of functions. I think as you look at and there's going to be trade-offs, and so we definitely push the envelope, because what we're always looking for is a better power performance equation, right? Because so much of what people want to do continues rising dramatically of what they need in terms of compute capability, and then but the expectations for battery life also are rising. Right. So I think for us, it's not so much about which architecture we love the most. It's about RISC-V, I think, is one of several architectures that we think has strong long-term potential. And of course, we like the fact that it's an open architecture. We like the fact that it's something that has a robust ecosystem of software developers. So all those things come together to really make it an important piece of our overall.
In a recent interview in Jan, I think you mentioned a future where we left cameras in our ears. How far along is that reality?
Oh, I don't think it's very far in the future, right? I think I think you'll probably start seeing it in products this year.
This year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for it's really about in concept it's not complicated, right? Mm-hmm. But I think the challenge is, and because you have it today with smart glasses, right? You have cameras, you have audio capability, so it's very straightforward. I think what makes camera earbuds interesting is the ability to do all that with a very small form factor, very small battery, and how do you get good, useful lifetime out of it? So that's the new interesting piece about that. And we have we think our S7 platform for hearables is a great way to manage that, right? You've got both audio, you can do some pretty heavy duty processing, so you can process some images, mm-hmm. and with the right sensor, you can come up with a great combination.
You have the size constraint, you have the thermal constraints. How, and you're saying that we'll be seeing this year.
Thermals is actually, I think we feel pretty comfortable about thermals. Size constraints is one thing, so it does change the form factor. You can't, and even if, you're not going to be able to fit a camera into an existing earbud that you have, right? There's going to be some changes. And the other piece is then there's a practicality aspect, which is, how do I make sure that camera has a good view, right? So, I have maybe wide cheekbones, someone else has long hair. All these things go into making, like, how can I make sure that a camera on the earbud actually has some reasonable line of sight for what information you want to glean from it. It's not like when you have smart glasses, the camera's unobstructed, right? So I think there's a dynamic there. So it's going to change form factor. I think from a battery life perspective, yeah. I mean, are you going to be able to get, like we can today with a hearable only solution, 10 hours of battery life? No, it'll be something less. But I do think there's some very power optimized camera sensors out there. Certainly with a product like S7, we've got we're already driving very, very high efficiency compute capabilities. So when you think about taking kind of some basic images for machine learning or machine use, it doesn't actually break any of the fundamental laws of physics, right? We're able to accomplish that within some reasonable window, but it's going to be an interesting experimental form factor. But I think it's one that a lot of people will be interested in.
So we've spoken about all these things, right? Hearable AI, wearable AI, edge AI, AI that helps us, do more in life, be more productive. At what point data becomes too much data? Has Qualcomm as a company ever factored that in? That we might reach a point in time where it's just too much data for one human being.
I think we're suffering from that today, right? I think when you look at, I think where AI can bring tremendous value is how do I sift through that data? Think about just the basic elements of doing search today, right? I don't know about you, but I don't do search anymore in the traditional sense, right?
All right.
Because what would I do before? I'd collect a lot of information. I'd look at website searches and go in and try to collate the information myself, right? Now, with a well-structured prompt, right? I can go ahead and get what would have taken me hours of searching and analysis to come up with a good conclusion. Of course, I need to validate and make sure it's accurate. But what I see is, you're right, we're drowning in some cases already in data, but data is different than information. Data is different than analysis that allows you to take informed action. And so I think what, as consumers, we're going to insist on is, how do I get this information I get to be more actionable and more usable, right? Because just a dashboard of tons of metrics isn't very helpful. What I need to know is, tell me what's the thing I should focus on, right? Just like when you go to a doctor and you get a blood test. If you ever get one of those blood test reports, there's 200 different factors that it's tested for, but do you need to worry about all of them? No, right? And so, you as a user will look, he'll highlight the ones that's the most important. And not only that, but then what do I do about it? Is it just like, oh, that's concerning, but there's nothing you can do? All right, why should I even worry about it, right? So I think that's really the value of where AI and what we can do as Qualcomm is, how do we work with our partners and our customers so that we get much more relevant, much more contextually valuable information that, and then what information should we be presenting to the consumer or the user so that they can take some tangible, meaningful action on. I think if we do that, that's what we're all searching for at the end of the day, right? Through all these reams of data, we want to know, okay, is there any action here I need to take? And so that's the challenge. And I think we're up for it. And I think that some of the things I'm seeing make me very optimistic that we'll be able to do that together with our partners.
All right. Lovely chatting with you, Mr. Bekis. Thanks.
Very nice to meet you.
Yep.
Thank you.